Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new Zerg vs Zerg analysis. Today we got a game of Zerg vs Zerg that I played recently, and this is going to be a good example on how a solid build order will give you a pretty good advantage in the mid game. Now right now Zerg vs Zerg is pretty much only 100% about the Mutalisk. Right now the Mutalisk is dominating the matchup just because it got buffed a lot in Heart of the Swarm, and people really haven't figured out too many ways to deal with this. In this game of Zerg vs Zerg we will also see a Mutalisk versus Mutalisk kind of style, which means that both players, including me, will try to get as much gas up as they humanly can in the shortest amount of time. I opened this game up completely standard with a hatchery first, followed up by a spawning pool and a gas geyser, while noticing with my first overlord that my opponent went for a pool into a hatchery. When the spawning pool finishes, I only really want to be focusing on making double queens and a lot of drones. The more drones the better. I am also going to be starting out my zerging speed relatively soon while he is able to scout out my main base. I opted to not go for a scout in this game simply because I knew exactly what he was going for by scouting the timing of his hatchery. As soon as I hit the second 50 gas, I decide to go for a baling nest and I put a spinecrawler right behind it, and he actually also once again manages to scout this, which is really well done by him. As soon as my zerging speed finishes, I really want to go and scout my opponent out because I really need to know what is up. So right now I'm running a few zerglings inside of the main of my opponent, and I realize he is going for a lair just around the same time as my own lair is started, which means that we are doing pretty much the same thing, just in a little bit of a different build order. Like I mentioned, I do want to start as many Mutalisk as I possibly can in the shortest amount of time, so I start pretty much all my gas geysers while starting the lair up as well. At this point you will really only see both players droning up. This happens in pretty much every single situation. We both realize what is going on. However, I'm taking a little bit of an earlier third base, whereas my opponent is also taking his third about 5 seconds after mine, which is really not that critical of a deal. So here we go, the lair is finishing up. I'm going to be starting my spire, while my opponent is also starting his spire right now. I can't see that obviously through the fog of war, but I do assume that my opponent is going for a similar spire as well. At this point, both players will try and start harassing the third base mostly, just because they don't want to allow the opponent of taking it out. They will play either defensive or aggressive, and in this game I do decide to get pretty aggressive myself, morphing a few banelings right here and trying to force the cancel on the third base of my opponent. Once again, we are doing all of this just because we want to get as many gas up, or as much gas rather, as we possibly can. I get a nice baneling hit down right there, and he is going to be following it up with a little bit more aggression himself as well. He is having more and more zerglings, and we are both really only producing links right now, since we are max saturation on 2 base. And when we take a look at the income tab, we will actually recognize that I'm at a slight advantage as far as harvest account goes. So right now we are just doing a little bit of link baneling aggression. I do have a bunch more zerglings right now than my opponent, but this is not going to be the biggest deal. Already starting the gas geysers in my third base, just like I mentioned, I want to get as much gas up as I possibly can. The spires are finishing up right now, so I do decide to actually try and target fire down the third base of him, but I sadly do not get it. Once again, doing that just to deny him any kind of gas that he might be mining, so that I will have a superior Mutalisk count as him. However, at this point I realize, oh, I actually did do quite a bunch of damage to his hatchery. My Mutalisk are out right now as well, so I might be able to go for a little bit of multi-pronged aggression. If I manage to fly in the Mutalisk in his main base, I might also be able to run those zerglings to his third base and get a cancel on that one right there. As long as I know that his Mutalisk are out of position like they are right now, I will be able to fly with my Mutalisk in his main base. So here we go, my Mutalisk are about to fly across the map. I managed to get a little bit of a pick-off right there, and I also realize, oh shit, there's no defense here whatsoever. At this same exact time, I'm also running in with zerglings, right-clicking on the third base of him, while making sure that I don't lose too many Mutalisk. Right now, I'm once again target firing it down, and I do manage to take out his third base, which will once again give me a pretty huge gas income. When we take a look at the income tab, it means that I'm basically mining a lot more gas than him, and therefore I will get more Mutalisk out than him, which is going to give me the superior lead in a little bit. Right now my opponent realizes this as well, and he will need to go for a little bit of a push, else he will just fall behind in Mutalisk count really quickly. The only option that he can go for right now is pretty much just engaging my army, because I will need to get more Mutalisk up right now, and he will know that I will only be trying to buy time right now, since I know that I have superior income, and since I know that I will have Mutalisk in the short amount of time. So here we go, he's going to go for one more final engagement, going to be fighting on top of the buildings as much as I possibly can, just to make sure sure that I get a big surface area and that the glaive bounces might go on top of the buildings instead of my own Mutalisk. And he is pretty much trying to do the same with the Zerglings underneath of his Mutalisk. So here we go, the final engagement. I'm having a few Zerglings underneath my Mutalisk count, but I do decide to fly on top of the buildings and make sure that I will be able to get all the surface area that I need, and I will also have the defender's advantage at this point. So this is pretty much it. I'm really interested what you guys are thinking about this new setup. But I thank you guys all for watching. Please leave a comment and a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And as always, stay awesome, guys. Bye! But Blizzard, in Heart of the Swarm, actually added this little thingy on top of the hatchery. It's like a number, the amount of harvesters that's currently mining, then /24. If it's an 8...